South Florida was booming. 330,000 newcomers, bidding wars, and soaring prices set the stage for a paradise no one thought could crumble. The real story behind Governor of Florida loses it after buyers abandon home sales starts with the illusion and ends with the fallout. From Coral Gables to Jupiter Island, Governor Ron DeSantis, never one to miss a headline, called it paradise on the rise. He pointed to record job growth, record home values, and record net migration as proof the state had cracked the code. Median sale prices in Miami-Dade jumped 17% in a single year, closing in on $550,000. In West Palm Beach, new construction soared past $900,000, up more than 40% from just 2 years before. The numbers were dizzying. In Palm Beach County, the average income of newcomers topped $150,000, more than double that of longtime residents. For now, Paradise still sold itself. The rush was on, and the price of admission kept climbing. But as homes doubled in value and the last moving truck pulled away, the question lingered. How high could the market fly before gravity took over? In West Palm Beach, the median home now lists at $540,000, a figure that, for many families, might as well be out of reach. Monthly payments on a typical mortgage have doubled since 2021, climbing from around $1,100 to well over $2,200. That extra $1,000 a month is not just a line item. It's the difference between staying put and packing up. For one local family, both parents work full-time. One teaches, the other manages inventory at a hardware store. Their combined income, once enough to cover a modest home and a summer vacation, now barely keeps pace with the cost of living. Each year, their insurance renewal arrives with another hike, sometimes hundreds more. And every trip to the grocery store means trimming something else from the budget. The math is cold. With property taxes, insurance, and utilities, their total housing bill eats up more than half their take-home pay. They've watched neighbors move north to Port St. Lucie or out of state entirely, chasing lower prices and lower risk. The dream of trading up, maybe a backyard or an extra bedroom, has faded. Their kids share a room. The AC runs on a tight schedule to save on power. Even small repairs get deferred because every dollar counts. This isn't an isolated story. Across Palm Beach County, longtime residents face the same squeeze. Incomes haven't kept up, and for many, the only way to stay is to stretch further and hope nothing breaks. The headlines still talk about record sales and million-dollar listings, but on these streets, the cost of paradise is measured in sacrifices. The surface still shimmers, but the strain is everywhere. Quiet, relentless, and growing harder to ignore. 6 insurance carriers failed in Florida since 2022, leaving more than 250,000 homeowners scrambling for coverage just as hurricane season approached. Universal Property and Casualty, FedNat, and United P&C all collapsed under the weight of mounting claims and reinsurance bills that soared 40% in a single year. State Farm and Farmers, once dominant names on policy documents across Miami-Dade and Palm Beach, pulled out entirely, citing unsustainable risk. Each exit triggered a cascade. Policies canceled with just 45 days' notice, renewal offers withdrawn, and desperate calls to agents met with long hold times or blunt refusals. For many, the search for a new insurer turned into a dead end. Quotes, when available, came in at 2 or 3 times the previous premium, often with stricter roof age limits and hurricane deductibles that could wipe out a year's savings in one storm. Condo owners faced a different squeeze. Blanket rate hikes on association master policies, sometimes jumping from $200,000 to $700,000 in a single renewal, forced boards to levy special assessments or cut back on reserves. Some buildings in Broward found themselves uninsurable, their only option to self-insure, risking insolvency after the next major storm. As private carriers vanished, Citizens, the state-run insurer of last resort, absorbed the overflow. By late 2024, Citizens covered over 1.3 million homes, nearly double its book from just 2 years earlier. But Citizens was never designed for everyday business. Its reserves, though sizable, would be dwarfed by a direct hit from a Category 4 or 5 hurricane. State regulators warn that Citizens' reserves, though sizable, would be dwarfed by a direct hit from a major hurricane. The numbers are plain. Citizens holds about $6.5 billion in surplus, but a single Category 4 storm striking a densely built corridor could wipe that out in weeks. The real risk isn't just for Citizens' own policyholders. State law gives Citizens the power to levy surcharges, up to 15% of annual premium, on its customers if claims outstrip reserves. But the reach goes further. If that's not enough, Citizens can impose an emergency assessment of up to 10% per year on nearly every property and casualty insurance policy in Florida, from homeowners to auto, boat, and business coverage. That means a hurricane tax, potentially 25% of annual premiums, could land on nearly every policyholder in the state, even those with private insurance, for years after a major storm. Over 180,000 Floridians were left homeless, their lives scattered across parking lots and church basements, power lines tangled in the streets, grocery stores and gas stations shuttered for weeks. Survivors remember the heat, the silence, the endless lines for water and ice. Insurance adjusters fanned out by the thousands, but for many, the wait for a check stretched into months. Before Andrew, building codes were a patchwork. Over 400 different rulebooks, enforced at local whim. The storm exposed every flaw. In the aftermath, the question was no longer if Florida would rebuild, but how. The scars of 1992 run deep, a reminder that paradise always carries a price. After Andrew, Florida's building codes underwent a seismic overhaul. The patchwork of local rules gave way to a single statewide code in 2002, demanding hurricane straps, impact glass, and reinforced roofs on every new build. Engineers and policymakers pushed for standards that could stand up to the next Category 5, and the numbers tell the story. Homes built to the 2002 code suffer 87% less wind damage than their pre-Andrew counterparts. That difference isn't just theoretical. Insurance claims from storms like Irma and Ian show a steep drop-off in losses for code-compliant properties, while older homes still rack up repairs and higher premiums. Buyers and insurers both recognize the edge. Properties built after 2002 routinely command higher prices and are easier to insure, a phenomenon known as the code premium. Yet, as the market fills with new arrivals, not every home on the block benefits from these upgrades. The divide between code-era construction and everything built before leaves pockets of vulnerability scattered across South Florida's neighborhoods, setting the stage for the next test. Mortgage math turned brutal as Hurricane Aaron's core spun up to 160 miles per hour offshore, freezing the South Florida market in its tracks. In Fort Lauderdale, lenders stopped funding coastal deals overnight. Showings vanished from calendars. For buyers, every weather alert landed like a punch to the gut. The risk was no longer theoretical. It was a line item on every closing statement. Insurance companies locked down new policies, leaving thousands of pending transactions in limbo as the storm's wind field stretched wider than the state itself. The shadow of Aaron hovered over every open house, every appraisal, every wire transfer. In South Florida, the idea of paradise now came with a hurricane clause attached. Nearly 41,000 homes now sit unsold in the Tri-County region, a 61% surge from the year before. Rows of for sale signs line once coveted streets from Boca Raton to Hollywood, each one a marker of a deal that did not materialize. The inventory glut is not just a number. It's a signal of a market in reversal. Institutional investors who once snapped up entire blocks at a time are quietly unloading portfolios. In August 2025, Hurricane Aaron's approach triggered a 21.3% cancellation rate in Fort Lauderdale home sales, a level not seen in decades. Florida's housing boom, fueled by 330,000 new residents in 2021 and historic price surges, was suddenly paralyzed. The documentary revealed how rising insurance premiums, with 6 carrier failures and Citizens Property Insurance swelling to 1.3 million policies, left buyers exposed. Despite decades of stricter building codes after Hurricane Andrew, the psychological impact of a major storm remains potent. What no official statement has clarified is how quickly the market can recover or if further insurer exits will follow. The facts show that even the threat of disaster is enough to freeze billions in real estate overnight. As of now, the long-term stability of Florida's housing market and the state's response remains an open question, documented in public records and sales data. In Florida, the cost of paradise is still being calculated.